Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Here is another CS First lesson. We've got some Googlers hanging out backstage. There's someone missing. If you've been in our lessons before, you realize I'm all by myself. Usually, I have someone with me. I will let you know a little bit more about why I'm by myself, but don't worry. We've got Googlers that are going to join me in just a bit. As I mentioned, we're coding with CS First and with Google. This time, we are looking at science. So we're going to be doing some food chains. It's going to be super fun. But before we get going, as you know, if you've been here before, we always take a moment to recognize and acknowledge the lands that we are on. I would like to acknowledge I am in Calgary. This is Treaty 7 territory. So many Indigenous nations here and in and around Calgary, the Blackfoot, the Piikani, the Kainai, Tsuut'ina, Stoney Nakoda, Métis. I learned all about these nations around me by looking at this map that you see, so native-land.ca. If you haven't checked it out yet, take a moment, learn a little bit more about the lands around you, and appreciate what we have, thankfully. Okay, couple housekeeping items. Like I mentioned, I'm in Calgary. My name is Michelle Armstrong. I am with the Cobblestone Collective. We get to work with teachers and students just like you and with Google. And so we're so thankful to be able to do technology work and CS First with Google. Teachers, if you have not been with us before, this is YouTube Live. You can pause at any point. We get kind of excited, so it might go a bit fast. Don't hesitate to pause. We'll still be here when you get back. And of course, you can rewind, replay. The recording will be there for you. Students, we want to hear from you. There's no chat turned on, but you can communicate with us by going to that link that you see on that page. So, work time, students. Go into a brand new tab. Type in the cc.page/CS First. Let us know what's your name, where are you joining us from, and what grade are you in? Ooh, 3-part question. What's your name? What grade are you in? And where are you joining us from? So Ismail and Muhammad are here. Thank you, Muhammad. I like these lessons too. Ismail, I already gave you a shout out. Look at that. So the rest of you in the form, let me know who you are, and then hopefully you guys will get shout outs too. My partner from Google, who's usually here with me, Sandy Curry, is away on a much needed vacation, and so she can't be here with us today. She might even be watching the recording. So if so, Sandy, hello to you. We miss you. But Sandy is the STEM Computer Science Outreach Manager at Google Canada. We couldn't do any of this if it weren't for her. So Sandy, we appreciate you. We miss you. But we're going to have a great lesson, hopefully, even without you. We are going to meet the Tooglers very soon. Students, if you know what a Toogler is, let me know in the form. I'll tell you in just a second. We're going to be coding. We're going to do a showcase, and then we're going to do a Q&A with the Googlers, and then we will say goodbye. So before we get to the Tooglers, Michael, thank you for telling us you are joining. Haley is in grade 6 Medicine Hat. Thank you, Haley, for answering all of my questions. Muhammad is grade 6. Moises is grade 7. We've got Ismail, you're grade 6. We have Eden's in Medicine Hat. Mateo is here. We've got Isadora, excellent, and Gadi is here. Mrs. McGregor's class. Welcome to all of you. Sequoia is here. Okay, we'll get to some more shout outs in just a second. We need to meet our Tooglers. No one let us know what a Toogler was. Oh, yes, you do. Muhammad, you knew. They are who help us teach coding. These guys are volunteering their time to teach you guys. So they are Googlers who teach, and they are here with us. So Randy, give us a wave. And Elmi, give us a wave. And Saud, give us a wave. We are going to turn this over to our Tooglers. They're going to introduce themselves. But right now, students, as you're listening to these Tooglers, post your questions in the form. We're going to have a Q&A at the end. So if these guys say something you want to learn more, let us know in the form and we'll be able to answer those questions at the end. Well, let's learn a little bit more about you guys. Let's start with you, Randy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Randy. I'm a software developer here at Google. I grew up on a farm. So we had pigs. We also helped train guide dogs. I started programming when I was 12, if you consider HTML programming. I then went to university, did a short stint at IBM. I did work at Christie. If anybody's seen the Avatar movies, has anybody seen the Avatar movies? Let me know in the chat. And then I ended up at Google.
Okay, very cool, Randy. I'm already thinking of some questions that I would want to ask you. Am I right, Randy? Do you also play, so you play hockey, right?
That is true. I've played hockey for about 30 years now.
Whoa. All right, students, what are your questions for Randy? Put them in the form. Next up, we are going to learn a little bit more about Saud.
Hey everyone, I'm Saud. So my path to Google, I guess, is a bit different than other people because I actually didn't have an interest in computer science at all. In my childhood and even in high school, I actually thought I always wanted to be a doctor, do something in medicine. But then in grade 12, I realized that that path wasn't really for me. And so I kind of pivoted. And actually, up until that time, all my courses were all like medicine geared, like higher level biology and chemistry and stuff. Zero physics, zero computer science, but I still decided to take a chance with computer engineering. And so I walked in with literally zero knowledge of coding. If some of you have coded, you're miles ahead of at the point I was when I first joined university. So it was a bit of catch up that I had to do. And so I have all my co-ops listed here. And for all 6 of my co-ops, actually, I applied to Google every single time, got rejected. It wasn't until I started applying for full-time that I actually got the opportunity to interview. And so I sort of had to join Google, quote unquote, the hard way by actually, interviewing for full-time rather than converting to an internship. But yeah, now I'm on the Snowcat team at Google. And it's you can see the logo there. It's kind of fun. Like everything has like a sort of cat theme within like our little team. So that's nice. So that's my path to Google.
Okay, I've never even heard of the Snowcat team. It looks super fun. You've got Mohammed is like exclamation marks. You worked at Amazon. So they're pretty excited about that. And we've got lots of questions coming in for you. So be ready later at the Q&A. All right, Elmi, we get to learn a little bit more about you now. Then we're going to get coding.
Hello, I'm Elmi. My path to Google was sort of traditional, but maybe not. I started looking at coding as a way of automating tasks, of making the computer do work for me, solve problems for me. For example, when I was about maybe 12, but it was very different than Scratch of nowadays. It was all text-based. The language was called QBasic. From there on, I've thought about doing computer science, but I was interested in so many different things. So for me, going to University of Waterloo was a way of combining computer science, so math, science, and bioinformatics, so biology that I loved, and genetics, which was very, very interesting to me. So I did a bunch of co-ops in different companies, just exploring what type of programming I would like. Like, would I want to implement apps or would I want to write something very low level and very mathy? Turns out I like the latter. So I spent a few years working in a local company, working on query processing. So how do you analyze a large volume of data to return result that user wants? And then I switched to Google, trying to pursue more interesting coding. I work for Nest right now.
Awesome. Elmi, that's cool. And sorry, say again, who do you work? Which department are you working on?
Nest. So that's devices.
Right. Okay. Students, what are your questions for Elmi? What are your questions for all of the Googlers? Let's we're going to dive into coding. But if those of you wanting those shout outs, Ishmael is asking questions. Haley has some questions. We're going to get to those questions. Jacob is in grade 7. Jacob, if you've got some questions for these Tooglers, we'll get to them again later. Yes, Michael, great question. We're going to get to that at the end as well. All right, students, we're going to get coding. Your teachers received this. This is what we call a cobblestone crate that has 5 different coding activities in science. Today, with these Tooglers as my students, we're going to go through activity 1. But guess what? When we're all done here, your teacher has 4 more lessons you guys can do on your own. So hopefully you guys are going to be doing a whole bunch of coding in science. All right, here are your instructions. Teachers, if you have your CS First class set up, awesome. It's going to be nice and easy for your students to get connected. So students, those of you who already have CS First, you want to log in? You're hopefully going to see that 2 truths and a lie lesson inside Friends, and then you're good to go. Let us know in the form when you're there. Wait, if that was kind of too fast for you, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through step by step. My Tooglers, they're getting ready. They're going to do this. They're going to be coding alongside with you. But if you do not have the CS First set up yet, it's okay. Here's kind of the quick way to get to the lesson we're going to be doing. And my students, I didn't set up my CS First class, so this is the link they're going to go to. So we'll get that put up on the screen for you. So I'm going to walk you through step by step what you need to do. I'm going to let our Tooglers kind of hide backstage and get themselves set up. But now, so students, if you do not have CS First set up, there's a link right there for you, thecc.page/truth. It's going to take you right to where you need to be. But if you do have CS First set up, you're going to go click on sign in. That's csfirst.withgoogle.com. You are going to sign in. You are going to say that you are a student. You are going to find, hopefully, that your teacher has the Friends unit already there for you. And then you are going to go to 2 truths and a lie. Today, we're going to tell some truths and lies about science. And once you get there, you're going to click on 2 truths and a lie. And this is where it takes you. So in the form, students, let us know if you found the 2 truths and a lie. If you're not set up on CS First, like I say, there's that link on the screen for you that's going to just zoom you right to where you need to be. So get yourself to 2 truths and a lie. And when you are there, let us know in the form. So Yael is in now. Awesome. Yuma, I'm not sure if you're in, but I love that you like to code. Ishmael found it. Fabulous. Let us know in the form, students and teachers. This might be one of those times if you need to pause, if you need to rewind those steps, by all means, or just use the link that's on the screen. That'll zoom you right there. We can figure out how to log in later. Haley is in. We have 2 Haleys that are in, names spelled differently. Pakwesi is in. Fabulous. I'm going to check in with my Googler students. We'll maybe take that banner off of there. Elmi, thumbs up. Are you in? Saud, you got yourself in? Randy, you're good to go? All right. Well, students, it looks like lots of you have gotten yourself in. You still got a couple minutes because we're going to talk food chains. So if you're still trying to get yourself into CS First, you got a little bit of time. But let's talk about food chains. Mateo is in. Marcus is in. Jacob, you love these lessons. You are in. Mateo is good. Okay. Elmi, you'll be my first student to answer this question. And those of you students out there, put it in the form if you know what is a food chain? All right, Elmi, what's a food chain?
So, as far as I understand, food chain is the order in which living things serve as the food for other living things. So, plants can be eaten by bugs, and bugs can be eaten by, say, foxes. And it's about which ones serve as energy sources for others. Like,
I love
again, as far as I understand, it's not necessarily a chain, it's actually a web.
Oh, I think
Take
there's
out
food
one.
chains, and then the whole cycle is like the cycle of food webs. Love it. Ishmael agrees with you. It's a stream of animals. Ooh, and I like Elmi. You mentioned living things because plants could be in a food chain too, right? But Ishmael, great job. You eat smaller animals and that get eaten by bigger ones. All right. No one else is giving us a definition of food chain. We do have lots of students that are all caught up, though. May Ev is caught up. Catherine is in. Evie is in. Nora is in. All right. Isadora is here and in. Kanae is in. Oh, we have so many students here ready to code with us. Okay. So we know what a food chain is. Your teachers received a video. Maybe you watched it. Maybe you didn't. It's totally okay if you didn't. But the video we sent you is by National Film Board. It's Ocean School. That's how I learned more about my food chain. So I watched this video, and this video told me the food chain of a whale. Starts with phytoplankton, goes to copepods, which I'd never even heard of, and then the whale eats it all. That's the food chain I'm going to do inside CS First. It's going to look, hopefully, a little bit like this. Elmi, Saud, and Randy, I want you guys to start thinking about what do you want your food chain to be. If you want to follow exactly what I'm doing, that's okay. Students, same thing for you. Think about what's a food chain you want to create inside Scratch. If you want to just follow along with me, perfect. If you want to go out and do something on your own, that's cool too. And then we'll see what we come up with at the end. Okay, Tooglers, you guys ready to go get coding? We're going to let you go backstage again. I'm going to switch over to another screen. We are actually going to dive in and get coding. So students, if you need to follow along directly with me, you can. I'm going to go over to my other screen, which looks like this. Hopefully, this is exactly where all of you are. Again, teachers, if you need to pause to get everyone on the same page, please do. We have all sorts of students are here already. So students, next step, you're going to click on Starter Project. And when you go to that Starter Project, if you're already logged into CS First, boom, it's there. It's saving automatically. You are good. But if you're not logged into CS First, that's totally okay. We can just continue without signing in. We'll show you how to save later. And we all should be in the same place. So students, we are thinking of a food chain. Remember, mine is going to be phytoplankton, copepods, and a whale. What's your food chain going to be? And we're kind of taking this 2 truths and a lie activity from inside CS First, and we're switching it up a little bit so it works for our food chain. Just to let you know, CS First, all of these videos teach us exactly how to code. So everything I'm going to be showing you today is inside all of these videos. So if you want to go back and watch those videos afterwards, you absolutely can. Today, though, I'm going to walk you through some of the things I learned inside those videos. The first thing I learned is I want to change my background so that it fits my food chain. So my food chain is in the ocean. So what you want to do first, so take a look over in this side corner here. If I click on this backdrop, if I click on choose a backdrop, I am going to pick a different background that works better for my food chain. So I click on that. And now we can search through these backdrops for something that fits your food chain. If you're following exactly along with me, we're going to look for an ocean. So I just searched ocean and I see this underwater, which looks perfect. Excellent. Okay. I've got a new backdrop. This Sprite, she doesn't really fit within my food chain, so I'm going to delete her. So if you want to keep her in your food chain, go for it. If you want to delete her, it's as easy as we just click on the Sprite down below. We click that delete button, and she's gone. And now we have to find our food chain items. So we're going to bring in some new Sprites. I think some of you might already know how to do this, but if not, you just click on that cat down in that corner. We click on the cat, and let's start with the big item in my food chain. We want to search for a whale. Uh-oh, there's no whale inside my library. Okay, that's okay. I think sharks. Oh, awesome, there's a shark. So, sharks and whales both feed on the phytoplankton and the copepods. I learned that in the Ocean School video. So a shark is going to work perfectly for me. Now, my shark is facing the wrong way. If you want to move your animal and make them face opposite ways, I do believe I can change the direction. Let's see what happens if I... Oh, look at that. Then he's upside down. Oh, goodness me. Do you know what? I'm okay with my shark facing the wrong way for today. But if you do want to work on those settings, you can change the direction of your Sprites and you can make them smaller and bigger. But for today, because we don't have a lot of time, I'm going to put my shark just over on this side. And then I'll draw my other Sprites after the shark. Okay. So the next item in my food chain are copepods. What are copepods? If you think you know what a copepod is, let me know in the form. I'm going to go in to my Sprite library. So now I need to get another Sprite. So I'm clicking on my cat. And copepod, if you know what a copepod is, it's a crustacean. Oh, goodness. All these vocabulary words. A crustacean is a shellfish. So I'm going to look. Let's just see. Do they have like lobsters here? No lobsters. Maybe they have crab. Okay. A copepod is kind of like a super tiny crab. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that little crab in there. Oh, goodness. I'm going to resize this crab. So that's where we look at the size. So copepods are super tiny. Let's go like 20%. Oh, yeah. Nice. All right. So my shark is going to feed on the copepods. And then the copepods feed on the plankton and phytoplankton in particular. What is phytoplankton? Well, it's stuff in the ocean that glows. So that's kind of cool. I know it glows. So I want to add one more Sprite. So got my shark, got my copepod. I'm going to add one more Sprite. This has to be like a glow in the dark kind of animal. I'm just going to search for the color green. Oh, yes. You know what? This button is going to work perfectly for my phytoplankton. I'm going to grab that button. Oh, goodness me. Phytoplankton is definitely not that big, but it does look that color. I'm going to change the size of this. Let's do 20. Oh, yeah, that'll be perfect. It's a little bit big. but we get the idea. So I have my phytoplankton, my copepod, my shark, but my phytoplankton doesn't really look like it should. So this is where students, we're going to go into the costumes, and we're going to show you how you can change the colors of your sprite. You can duplicate your sprites. You can make them look however you like. So I am going to go into my button. This is going to be my phytoplankton. I'm going to go over to the costumes, and there's my phytoplankton. If I want to duplicate this, so look at what I'm doing here, students. So if you look up at the screen, I'm just dragging my mouse. So I select that whole sprite. So see, I do that again. I'm just clicking and dragging. I'm going to select that whole sprite. I'm going to, let's see if I can right click. I can copy that image. And then if I right click again, oh, paste isn't there. So this is where we can use our shortcuts. So Control C for copy, Control V for paste. And if you want to zoom out a little bit so we can see this, so I highlight it, Control C for copy, Control V for paste. There it is. It's right beside it. Ah, now you see I've got a whole bunch of my little phytoplanktons are starting here. Let me highlight those. I'm going to copy. Dara, thank you for letting me know a copepod is an underwater animal. You are correct. It's kind of, I think, kind of a plant or an algae or something. I'm not sure. But there we go. So we've got our phytoplankton. If you want to go and modify your copepod, we can even put words in here. So if I use, so take a look, you've got this text editor. We can go in, we can change our color if we want. I'm just going to leave it purple for now. So this is phytoplankton. And then hopefully that should show up. I am not certain why that is not showing up. Maybe I need to click out of it. Phytoplankton. We'll move it over here. Maybe it's just because of the color. You can't really see it. Let's change that color. We'll make it green. And oh, there you go. It's so tiny. You can barely see it. But you could go in if you want to change the font size, change the font color, whatever you need to do to get your food chain items. Take a moment, get some items from your food chain. We are going to check in with our Toogler students and see how they are doing. So let's jump back in so we can see them. Hello, Tooglers. You guys doing okay? Students, let us know in the form what items are in your food chain. Let's pick Randy. What items are in your food chain, Randy?
Oh, I did something a little bit different here, Michelle. I did something really silly because I decided to have some fun with this. So the items in my food chain are a dinosaur, a bowl of cheesies, which is made from corn, a sun, and a scuba diver. They seem unrelated, but trust me, we're going to see later on that they do have something in common.
Okay, so you're sort of you're thinking outside of the box for your food chain. I love it. Elmi and Saud will see your food chains at the end. We won't spoil anything yet, students. If you want to let us know in the form what items are in your food chain, and now you have to be thinking about those truths and a lie. So you need to tell something factual about your food chain item, and then throw in one little sneaky lie about your item. So Randy, tell us at least one truth that you're going to have inside your food chain.
Ooh, one truth inside my food chain, and that is the source of all energy is the sun.
Ah, perfect. All right. So, Saud, Elmi, think about your truths, your lies. You guys keep coding. Before I dive away, though, any questions, students? Elmi or Saud, you guys are good? Okay, we're going to go back to coding. Here we are. So, students, you now need to come up with what are the truths about, pick one of your food chain items, but what are some truths and what is one lie that you can sneak in there? I like this. So we've got, so students, let us know in the form what your food chain is. If you want to let us know what your truths and lies are, go for it. For me, I'm going to code my copepod. Oh, actually, I think I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to code my phytoplankton. So I'm on my phytoplankton. You'll see my awesome sprite that I modified. So my phytoplankton, the truths and the lies about my phytoplankton are, well, truth is, let's think, I am green. So that's one thing that's true. Ooh, they take light and turn it into food. So that's kind of why they glow. So that's another truth about my phytoplankton. So I'm green. I turn light into food. And then my lie is I live at the bottom of the ocean. And I bet you can figure out, wait a second, if they need light, well, they have to live at the top of the ocean. So that's why that one is a lie. So students, I want you to think, what are two truths and one lie about your food chain? If you want to let us know in the form, I see Poppy and Yuma both are doing bears. Thank you for putting that in the form. Those of you students that want any shout outs, let us know what's your food chain, and we'll let everyone else know out there as well. Charlotte is doing, polar bear, fish, and algae. Great food chain, Charlotte. Excellent, excellent. All right. So back to my two truths and a lie. Daniel, you are doing the same as me, which is awesome. So Daniel, you and me, this is our next step. Anyone else? We need to say our truths and our lie. So that's easy. We go over to the looks blocks. We click on them. Those are the purple ones. There they are. Say. So we're going to have two truths. So I'm going to bring two of those blocks in. And we're going to have one lie. So it's just 3 say blocks. Easy peasy. We're going to change those. So my first truth is I am green. But you know what? We're going to be asking the user to do some inputs. So to make it easier, we're going to say like choice number 1 is, we'll delete hello. Oh dear. So let me zoom in on this so you guys can see this a little better. So we're deleting the words hello. So just backspace. I'm going to say choice 1 is I am green. And we're going to just say that for 2 seconds. If you want to, you could change that to letter A. I am green. Whatever you do, you're basically, what do you want the user to type in when you ask them for a guess? Instead of having to type in the whole thing, I am green, we're going to just get our user to type in a letter or number. So I'll leave it back at a letter. So first thing, I am green. That's one of my truths. I'm going to go my second thing. So letter B or number 2, if you're using numbers. I turn light into food. We're going to say that for 2 seconds. So there's my 2 truths. And now here comes my lie. So this is letter C. My lie is I live at the bottom of the, oh dear. When you press delete, it deletes the whole thing. That's okay. I live at the bottom of the ocean. That is my lie. So students, you should have 2 truths and 1 lie. Those are just inside say blocks. Let us know in the form if you're having any troubles at all. Dara, your lion, gazelle, and grass sounds awesome. Haley has a beetle, a parrot, a panther, ooh, and fungus. So 4 items in your food chain. Jacob is doing what I'm doing. Awesome. Oh, Pranya says dinosaurs are not alive anymore. So I don't know, Randy, you might be breaking the rules of food chains, but that's okay. All right, students. We've got our 2 truths and a lie. Let's move those over so you can see them. We need an event trigger. So how is my code going to start? In this case, we're going to go over to our events. So our event triggers. I'm going to say when the flag is clicked, it's going to say my 2 truths and a lie. So if I go, it's like I'm green. I turn light into food. I live at the bottom of the ocean. Somehow, my phytoplankton got really, really big. I changed the size, but that's okay. I'll fix that later. But now we need to get the user to input what they think the truth is and what they think the lie is. So this is the next step. And I learned all of this in those CS First videos. So if you want to go back and watch those videos to learn more cool things, awesome. We're just going to show you, okay, here's how I'm going to ask my user a question. It's an ask block, which is in our blue section here, the sensing section. So we are going to ask a question. There's the ask block. So we are going to ask. Whoopsies. Come on. Let's move this over. There we go. That'll snap in there. And we're going to change this. Instead of what's my name, we're going to say, which one is the lie? A, B, or C? So it's that ask block. You want to ask your user which one is a lie. Then we're going to get into some conditional statements. Okay, if they say A, woohoo. They actually, if they say A, that's not the lie. So we need to code it to know what to do when they answer. So this is where we get into if-then blocks. So students, if you want, take a look up at the screen. This is where we're going to put in some conditional statements. They're inside the control menu. There they are, if-then. But it's waiting for something. Do you see how it's got that shape in there that's got nothing in it so far? This is where we're going to be able to code our variable. So if then, bring that right down here. Ooh, we need to put in, if the answer is C, then we want to do something. And so you're looking for an operator. Whew, all these computer terms. We're going to check in with our Tooglers in a second to hopefully help explain some of these. But we've got our if-then block. We're going to go to the green section. We need to find something that says if blank equals blank. But the only thing we see with an equal sign, it's pretty tiny. You see that's an equal sign. It says blank equals 50. We can work with this. This is going to work for us. So you see that shape? Boom. Fits right inside your if-then. So if the answer equals the letter C, they're right. That is the lie, right? But okay, if blank equals C, we have to find the answer block. And the answer block hides inside sensing. So we're going back to the blue. And then we should see if the answer, oh, there it is. And it's the same shape. It fits right in there. If I click on it properly, if the answer is equal to C, then we want to say something. So I'll leave that on the screen. If you're not sure what blocks to place, just take a look up on that screen. If the answer equals C, then I want to say, that's in our looks again. Let's say something along the lines of, oh, you got me. You got me. That is the lie. And you could even write even more. Of course, I need to live at the top of the ocean, or whatever information you know about your food chain, you're going to put that in there. Okay, so if the answer is equal to C, you got me. We're going to zip in and we're going to do, well, what if the answer is A or B? Well, that's where you go back and we can just add more of these if-then blocks. Oops, they're in control. So we would just go, well, if the answer is B, then this is what I'm going to say. And then you add another if-then block. If the answer is A, well, here's what you're going to say. So I don't have time to do all of those, but hopefully that makes sense. You just put those if-then blocks and then do whatever you want it to say. So when I run this, let's see if it works. I'm green. I turn light into food. I live at the bottom of the ocean. Aha! Which one is the lie, A, B, or C? And now it gives me a spot to type that in. So if I type the letter C, let's see what it tells me. Ta-da! You got me. That one is the lie. So hopefully, students, hopefully you had a chance to get that coded. Let us know in the form. I'm going to do a few more shout outs, but before I do, I got to check in with my Toogler students. Toogler students, Saud, we haven't heard too much from you about this. We're going to get into the coding terms with you. We just put in some if-then statements. I think we have a variable there. Do you use these sorts of things in your day-to-day coding?
Yeah, we use them a lot, actually. The technical term, I guess, would be conditional statements. And so just to break it down a bit, it's a tool that programmers use to tell the computer that if this happens, then I want you to do this. So for example, I can tell the computer, if the moon is made out of cheese, then draw me a square. Otherwise, if it's not, then draw me a circle. And so we see a bit of this here, like if the answer is this, then do this. But we can also see if the answer is this, do this, else do something else. So yeah, and that's a very important concept. We use it all the time.
Makes perfect sense. Makes things, be able to do a whole lot more for sure. Students, if you want to know more about conditional statements, all of those videos inside CS First, that's exactly what those videos are helping us understand. So great explanation there, Saud. Students, we're out of time for coding. And I know you're like, no. Hopefully your teacher can give you a bit more time later, but we want to take a minute and take a look at what our Tooglers coded. Let's start with, I think I want to go with you, Elmi. If I remember correctly, you didn't have any of this done before you started. So you've only had as much time as the students had. Let's go ahead and see what Elmi has.
Okay, so the way I've done it is when you click on an animal, they will ask their questions. So let's start with the hedgehog.
Ooh, interesting. So which is the lie? I do not look at my prey. I hunt at night.
And I drink milk, or I like.
I I don't know. I'm going to say A. Is A
Yes.
is the
A.
lie?
So, yes, that's correct because hedgehogs are actually lactose intolerant.
I didn't know that. Look at what we
Okay.
learned. And
So
great food
let's try
chain.
one. Yeah, let's try the fox.
Oh, so eats the hedgehog and the grasshopper, and hedgehog is their favorite food. Uh-oh.
So,
I
okay,
don't
since we are probably pressed for time, it actually does not enjoy eating hedgehogs
Okay.
because they are spiky.
Yeah,
It's
makes
like
sense.
to eat the rabbit or the grasshopper or the bear.
Awesome. Great job, Elmi, and only in the amount of time that the students had. I think it's an awesome food chain. Great work. Okay, Saud, let's see what you have for your food chain. And you started working on this a little bit before today, so we'll see what you came up with.
Yeah. Mine's still pretty bare bones, but I'll just go over it real quick. So we have the zebra and the tree is supposed to represent, grass and like shrubs that it would eat. And then of course the lion eats the zebra. So we'll start it. And so lion says, I'm the king of the jungle. I eat zebras and I'm a carnivore. So what do you guys think the lie is? It's sort of a trick question. So let me know. But I guess I'll just tell you guys the lie would be that the lion isn't actually the king of the jungle, technically speaking. Because number one, the lion doesn't even live in the jungle to begin with. And number two, if we were to put it in the jungle, there's a huge debate what would win, a tiger or a lion? And some people say a tiger. And so based on that, that's the lie.
This is so cool. And I think like students, I bet you have all sorts of great information in your food chains as well. Saud, did you get all of the components coded in the time that you're working?
Yeah. I can show that. So yeah, like
oh, nice. Excellent. So students, I wasn't able to get all of those if-then statements in there, but you can see on Saud's, he's got just those same if-then blocks and is able to code all of those sprites. So awesome work, Saud. Love it. All right, Randy, let's see this dinosaur food chain.
Yeah, so I went a bit silly here because I like doing silly things. So we have a dinosaur on the screen here. Hopefully the animation works. It says, I'm a dinosaur. I like eating people and cheesies. So we have a bowl of cheesies as well. They're made from corn, which grows in the field. And we also have a scuba diver. He also likes cheesy, and we have a sun. So this goes to Elmi's comment that not everything is linear necessarily. This may be a web, and there may be things that eat other things and skip other things. So here, let's see what everybody answers. What's the bottom item of this food chain?
Ooh.
Do we think it's the cheesies, the dinosaur, the scuba diver, or the sun? So I'm going to click on the cheesies. I think it's maybe the cheesies. Oh, nothing happened there. I clicked on it. Well, hang on. Maybe it's the sun. And that's right. And now we get a little game. So the dinosaur can eat the cheesies as they fall from the sky. He can eat bowls of cheesies, and he's trying to avoid the sun because the sun's going to hurt him. You don't want to touch the sun. Oh, I got hit by the sun. Oh, no. That's the game. So we got 7 points there. That was pretty good. So, yeah, that's my presentation.
Love it. Randy, can you just go to your code super quick? We're going to show the students. If you did not sign into CS First, here's how you save your program so you can use it later. So take a look at what Randy's going to do. He's going to go to the File menu, and in the File menu, it says Save to My Computer. So that's going to save your Scratch file to your computer for you, and then you can load it up later. So awesome. Love it. Okay, well, students, you have posted some questions for our Tooglers. We are going to dive right into that right now. Before we do, though, got to give shout outs to Andrew, who did a grasshopper, frog, and snake. We have, who else? Oh, Eric did human, spider, and mosquito. Great food chain. Love it. All right. Those of you that put in some questions, we're going to get to those now. If you have more questions, put them in the forum so we can call you out. And I believe, is it Randy? Are you moderating our Q&A for us?
Sure, I can do that for us. All right, let's see what we've got here. We have a few questions. Sorry, I didn't look at these earlier, so I'm just going to go through and see what we have. Ooh, so Poppy says he has a bear. Can I get a shout out? Oliver wants a shout out, so Oliver gets a shout out. Questions, searching for questions here.
Way down at the bottom, we've got them all there for you. And I think Haley had a great question, which I think is for you. Do you see that, Randy?
Yeah, I see them now. So movies like Avatar, did you help make it? I helped work on the equipment that shows it. So when you went to the movie theater and you used the 3D glasses, there's a lot of stuff that happens to make that work. Those were specially made projection units for that to happen. They made them specifically for that movie, actually, at least for the first one. And then the second one, they got to reuse it. If anybody saw the second one there, it was quite interesting. What's your favorite coding language? Let's go to Elmi. What do you think, Elmi? What's your favorite coding language?
I wouldn't say specifically favorite because, in my opinion, the coding language has to feed the problem you're trying to solve. Because, for example, using assembler to parse a file containing data is probably a silly way of spending your time. But I like coding in C++ because I like how clean it is and how much control it gives you about what's happening and about memory. But of course, it leads to bugs if you don't do it right.
And how about Sod? What do you think, Sod? What's your favorite
for
coding
me,
language?
it would probably be Python because it's a bit of a, I guess, flatter learning curve, and you can do a lot more without being as expressive. But at work, I use a lot of C++, and at first it was, like, what is this? But it's sort of grown on me, and I like the control you have over everything and sort of the different things you need to think about. So those would probably be my top two.
All right, and I'll answer as well, too. So I've done a lot of C++, as have Elmi and Sod. My favorite language is probably Golang. If you've never heard of it, that's okay. It's somewhere between C and C++. If you've never heard of that, that's okay, too. Every language has its own strengths and its own weaknesses. So for instance, in your house, you might have a hammer. You use a hammer for nails, but you don't use a hammer for screws. You use a screwdriver. They're different tools for different jobs. Some languages are simple, easy to learn, and they're perfectly fine. Python's a little bit easier to learn. You can do a lot of stuff with it. C++ is very complex to learn, but it's a very powerful tool to do tons of stuff. All right. What else do we have? One other question from Ismail, and that's, what is Snowcat?
Snowcat is sort of like the bigger, wider team that I'm on. There's around 100 people in it. And then within Snowcat, there's other teams. And so the reason we're called Snowcat is because remember how I said like everyone in sort of like our wider team has like a cat named team? We're called Snowcat because we're in Canada and it snows here. Whereas the people down south in the States, they might be called Mountain Cat for the people that are in Mountain View. Or there's another team called Polecat or Barn Cat. And so we're called Snowcat because we're in Canada. And that's sort of the theme surrounding it.
Then that brings me to a question. So then, Elmi or Randy, do you guys have team names or...
Our team is called Cloud Workflows. It's not as exciting as Snowcat, but yeah.
Well, our team is Nest, although Nest is a bigger org, but my assumption is that the reason the name is there is because a lot of people call their home their nest.
Oh, yes.
And Nest produces devices that help you in your home.
That makes sense. Awesome. Well, I think we have time for, let's go to our final word. So I think we're all out of questions, but Tooglers, you guys are always a wealth of knowledge. I know, Saud, you're a little bit new to this Toogler team, but I'm sure we all have pieces of advice. Let's start with you, Elmi. If you had a final word of advice for these students out there coding, what would it be?
I would say go and be curious. Learn things and see how they connect to each other. Like, don't learn math just because there is a lesson to be done. Learn it and see how it applies to the recipe you're doing. Like,
Oh,
why are you learning fractions? You're learning them because you're learning how to double the recipe or how to halve the recipe. Think about how science applies to your everyday life. Like, for example, why is it hotter on the second floor of the house than it is on the first floor?
I like that. It's, yeah, be curious. Question why you're doing everything. Why are you here coding with us? But I love that, Elmi. Thank you so much for that. Saud, what would your final word advice for these students be?
Pretty much everything Elmi said, I will add a little bit to it, and that's basically don't get discouraged if at first you find certain things harder to learn. I know I certainly went through that. Like I said, I didn't have any computer science background, so coming to university and watching people just grasp concepts so easily, and meanwhile me, it was very, very tough, like extremely tough, and it was quite discouraging too at first. But once you get past that initial hurdle, it actually starts to become quite fun once you start learning how to like apply these concepts and everything. So I definitely say don't give up, and just don't be discouraged initially if you find it tough.
And you're just such a model for that too, right? Applied to Google, rejected. Applied to Google, rejected.
Yeah,
Applied
exactly.
again, applied again. Don't get discouraged.
Yeah.
Just keep at it. So that's great, great advice for sure. All right, Randy, words of wisdom, advice.
Sure, I'm going to have two here. The first one is, it's actually going to build on what Saad said. Don't worry about making mistakes, okay? Everyone makes mistakes every day. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I make several mistakes a day. This is part of learning, and this is how we learn. A mistake is just an opportunity to learn something new. So when you learn a program, don't be discouraged by it. Keep going. You'll be fine. Don't worry. You will figure it out. Just keep on going. Don't give up. And number two is, just like any skill you learn, you won't be very good at it at first. I was thinking about the first time you played soccer or hockey or any sport or played a video game. You're probably really bad at it. I was really bad too, but you kept working at it and you got better.
Love it. Great, great words of advice. All of you, thank you so much for being here. Before we let everyone go, we got to talk homework. Students, guess what? The homework isn't for you. The homework is for your teachers. So teachers, listen up. You received an email with all sorts of information about all of these lessons. So we're doing science this week. Next week, we're doing higher level science. But then after that, we're back through March. There's some special events. Then in April, we're back with music lessons and math lessons. Teachers, if you haven't signed up, we sure hope you do. And we hope to see you in another lesson. All of that info is in your inbox. And with that, I missed the slide. I want to make sure that we thank Sandy Curry. Sandy, if you're watching this, we hope we did you proud without you here. But students, I want to see all of you give a round of applause to Saud, Randy, Elmi, for being here and coding alongside us, and a round of applause for all of you for rocking it and giving us so much info in the form. Thanks for being here. With that, we'll say happy coding, and we'll see you again.